Okay, thank you. Okay, well, thank you everyone for calling in, taking time in your busy days. This is the October 11th, the third meeting of the Technical Advisory Committee for the San Joaquin Valley Rural Transit Alternatives Project. This is a Caltrans-funded project led by Merced County Association of Governments with all 80 MPOs and other partners as well. So my name is Michael Sagawa. I work on behalf of all eight MPOs of the Valley. I'll go ahead and lead roll call, and then we'll turn it back over to Laura with the UC Davis Institute of Transportation Studies. They're the entity carrying out most of the work for this. And is Caroline on the phone as well?
Yep, I'm here.
And Caroline Roder is a professor at UC Davis. She's also in charge of this with Laura.
Research faculty, actually.
Okay, very good. Okay. We'll start north to south. MPOs first. San Joaquin Council of Governments. Who do we have on?
Hey, this is Melody Lynn.
Okay. Diana Ryan, are you on? All right. Stanislaus Council of Governments. I heard Stephen.
Yeah, also Elizabeth Hahn and Isel Ojeda.
Oh, we got a full house with you guys. Very
good. We aren't messing around.
No. Merced County Association of Governments.
Hi, this is Natalia Austin, and I'm the only one today. Anthony won't be able to join us.
No, I'm here, Rich Green.
You are?
I'm in my office.
Okay, Anthony, that's you?
No, this is Rich Green.
Okay, hold on. Rich Green. Rich Green with MCAG Transit.
Sure. Transit Joint Powers Authority for Merced County, but I'm also an MCAG employee.
All right, well, I got you down, don't worry. Okay, thank you. Next is Madera County Transportation Commission.
Oh, hi, this is Amelia Davies.
Okay, is Dylan Stone there?
No, he won't be on.
Okay, thank you. Fresno Council of Governments. Peggy Arnaz will come on at 1:30. Moses, are you on? Okay, Kings County Association of Governments.
Hi, it's Teresa Nickel with KCAG.
Okay. Angie Dow, are you there? Okay, Tulare County Association of Governments.
Hi, Elizabeth Forte and Kasha Thompson are here.
Okay, thank you. Current Council of Governments.
Yes, Suzanne Campbell and Bob Snoddy, and we're checking on Rob Ball. Oh, no, he's not. No Rob Ball, but Linda Urata will join us shortly.
Bob Snoddy and Linda Urata will come on?
Yes, and Suzanne Campbell.
And Suzanne Campbell. Thank you. We have Laura and Caroline. Okay, let me go down the Caltrans list. Angela Shepard from headquarters. Okay, D6, do we have Lorena on? D10? Anybody from Caltrans? Okay, Fresno, did I miss anybody?
Who is Rob Cunningham with? I noticed they just logged onto the webinar and calling in.
I don't have a Rob Cunningham on my existing list, Laura. Rob? It might be the name of somebody's partner, you know what I mean, sometimes.
Okay.
Okay, so we have about 14 people on the call, Laura. It's all yours.
All right. Well, thank you everyone again for taking some time out of your day, checking in with us on this project. We have been up to a lot since our last call. So for today, we wanted to provide an update on the focus groups that are being scheduled. And then we're going to talk about updates that we made to the maps. We took a lot of your input when we had the one-on-one meetings with all of you. And I know Caroline has been sending out maps and collecting feedback. So we're going to go through those again today so that everyone valley-wide has an understanding of what those maps are looking like and shaping up to be. And then Caroline will have some additional information to share on additional data that she'll be adding to those maps as well. And so really excited to share that with you and, talk about if there's anything else we should be thinking about, etc. And then Caroline has also been collecting information on the rural transit service across the valley, and she'll talk a little bit about that today. I say a little bit because we're not sure of how much time we'll have after getting through the maps, but if we're real quick, then we can talk more about this rural transit service that she's been collecting from across the valley too, which we think will be really interesting to share with you all. And then just a review of next steps. So with that, we'll just dive in. As many of you are aware, I've been working with you all that we have scheduled the focus groups. They're actually going to be in the first week of November. We tried hard for October, but it didn't turn out based on the availability of venues. And so we will be having the focus groups over Election Day. And so that will be a very interesting day. But those were our best dates. And so, that will be fun. So we will be in Fresno. We'll actually be driving up to Modesto that evening, and we'll see what happens. So those are the dates, and then I've just been working with all of the Kern Cog and Stanislaus and Fresno on scheduling those. So and if you all want some additional information on venue and location, I can send that out via email.
I would like to know, Laura, if you don't mind, a tentative time for these so I can at least put them on.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, sorry about that. So these will all be over the lunch hour. We're going to be providing food. And so we're going to be starting at 11:30 and we'll be wrapping up at 2. So these will be basically 2-hour focus group conversations with that half hour just settling in, getting food, etc. And so the Bakersfield focus group, that will be at the Kern County Superintendent's. And we have Kern on there. I apologize, I don't have that address pulled up in front of me. But it'll be at their facility. Fresno will be at Fresno Cog. And then we have a room in downtown Modesto with it's called Stanislaus Opportunities. And for those that are aware of Modesto, it's in their city-county building on that first floor. And again, I'll send all this information out to the whole TAC just so you have it on hand in case anyone asks.
Okay. I need to say one more thing. The next scheduled TAC is the 8th of November. How did you want to handle that?
That was something we need to talk about today.
Okay.
So I apologize, everyone. I schedule it over our TAC, but I just wanted to get these pinned down, and I thought we could all work to potentially find a date later that week or even the next week to touch base. So could we tackle that, make sure we reserve time at the end?
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you, Michael. I'm glad you saw that because I was looking at that too. So the only other information I want to share with you all today on the focus groups is just our RSVPs that we have to date. So this is what we have after the first round of invitations. We sent an invitation to everyone that all the MPOs recommended to us, and then we'll be following up with some phone calls this week as well. And so this is who we have now. I know, Rich, you're on the line. You signed up for both, and I didn't know if that was you're coming to both or those placeholders for MCAG.
That was just to get your attention. I actually signed up for the one in Modesto and then realized I couldn't make that one, so I did the other one in Fresno.
Okay.
I couldn't figure out how to
unregister. Okay. Oh, no worries. I was going to follow up with you anyways. We're glad you're on the call, so we'll take you off from that Fresno one. I just didn't know if you were really excited about these focus groups. So.
If I was really excited, I'd be going to Bakersfield too.
I know. We would love to have you. So, okay. So this is our list so far. Again, we wanted a max of 15. And so I think, actually I'm pretty happy with our list so far, and then we can, and what I would like to work with you all maybe on is over this next week is, figuring out how do we strategically do some outreach so that we can have a fairly well represented participant list at each of these focus group meetings covering those main areas that we were wanting to. So, medical facilities, those NGOs working in the communities, transit agencies, colleges, et cetera. So right now I think we have a good list. So that's exciting. And then we can do some targeted outreach. So So I'll just pause there. If anyone wants to, comment on the focus groups, how those they're coming, or any, specific questions of how they'll run, or if you have any suggestions on who should be there, you can either, maybe the best thing would just be to shoot me an email, and or if you want to throw out those suggestions now, you can as well.
Laura, if this is Elizabeth at Modesto, if I guess you're still awaiting on some responses, right?
Yep.
I guess if there's a certain date by which you just feel pretty confident that if you need some assistance, basically, I'm thinking we can make some phone calls and encourage you to go. So.
Okay, great. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
This is Moses, FCRTA. Did you want me to participate in the Fresno one, or?
Moses, that's a good question, and if you would like to, we'd love to have you. We did meet with you at the MPO meeting, though there was a lot of others in the room, and we were talking about, more broadly, about the project and discussing it. So, if you're able to attend, I think that'd be great. This focus group is really, it's to somewhat repeat the conversations that we all had with you. We want to use them to really better understand the communities, what's happening in these communities, to gain a better understanding of the transportation needs and challenges that they're facing, and also hear more about if there's any opportunities we should be aware of. So some of these communities are already somewhat organizing themselves, and we heard about that in the MPO meetings, and so we're hoping if that is the case that we can learn more about that in these focus groups where we're engaging more organizations and individuals that have an awareness of what's happening in the valley in these rural communities.
Okay, that's fine. No problem. Thank you.
So Laura, again, the intended audience is transit providers, healthcare providers as a priority.
Yeah, and NGOs. So we were thinking transit, those that represent higher education, NGOs working in these communities, and then also, am I missing one? So transit, NGOs working in the communities, places of higher education. Oh, those representing seniors, disabled. We're also interested in connecting with them. And,
okay.
Yeah, so I think, and then healthcare. Yeah, so those were the main buckets, if you will.
Okay, there's the Fresno, I'll throw a couple out. Fresno Madera Area Agency on Aging would be one, and then Proteus, which does a lot of employment linkages in the rural areas, would probably be a good one to talk to too. Okay, and Michael, I'll look back through the list to see if I can find if we have anyone identified, but if not, I might follow up with you to see if you have any connections. Sure. And then there's those people from Fresno area, there's those clinics in the rural areas, and I think they have them all up and down the valley. I forget the name. Sorry. Okay. All right. Well, I'll look again, and Michael, I can share that full list, and maybe if you have time, you could take a look at it too to see if we're missing anybody.
Yeah, that would be great, Michael, if you could look at it.
Right.
Laura, this is Teresa. Hi, this is Teresa from Kings County. I don't see anything about Kings County, and I just typed you a message. I don't know if you're getting my message or not.
Yeah, I did get that little chat. I was going to respond to you. But so for no one has responded yet from your list, it looks like. And, and I don't know if it's, this is one of the things that we were kind of debating, if we wanted to make sure the meeting location was convenient and that people were not, we were hoping that they would, that if they're not responding, we hope it's not because it might be too far for them to go. And so, what do you think, Teresa?
Don't know as far as the meeting place. but I can certainly contact several of these people and see what they say for you if you want, because I've worked with them and know them. So
great. I mean, yeah, if you could do that, that would be great. And Teresa, do you have the invitation I sent out? I feel like I'm not sure if I thought I sent that to everybody, but if I haven't, I can send that out now, and so all of you can have the invitation in your inbox of, you know, what was sent out to everyone.
yeah, that would suffice. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, thank you, Teresa. And so after this meeting, I'll send out everyone the invitation as well as the list of everyone that we sent emails to, just so you can. I think I've already sent that out, but just you can have that on hand. And then there were some emails that bounced back and that we received bounce backs. And so the list I send you out after the meeting today will include an updated emails for some of those that we received bounce back. So. Okay. Is there any other questions or input from anyone else?
Yeah, look, Laura, let's huddle up by county. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut off anybody. Let's huddle up by county at least, so I can just have a list to give to each director, and they can follow up with their SES staff who deals with a lot of stakeholders, or other staff for additional leads.
Okay. All right. So we can touch base on that, Michael, yeah, after the call too.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. And if there is a lot of more interested in one of these areas, you know, Caroline and I are willing to consider, you know, thinking about, do we need to add another focus group? So, okay, all right. So with that, if there's not any other comments or questions, you know, always feel free to email me on the side. I'm gonna hand it over to Caroline.
Hello, everybody. So what I thought I'd do at this meeting is just to take the opportunity to, first of all, thank everyone who got back to me on the maps that I sent you. For those who weren't involved, basically I sent kind of a first cut of rural and urban census tracts by county to see if I had kind of represented what your county felt was appropriate. These were basically based on the California tax credit allocation methodology. So Michael Segala had provided me that and suggested that was a good starting place. And then also we identified for the California Virus Screen 2.0 the census tracts that were greater than 75%. So, and I was taking that as a first cut for the CES. So what I'm going to do next, I've got all your feedback, is to kind of, you know, look at the areas that are rural, and then the areas that are disadvantaged, and really highlight those areas and start collecting, well, we've collected most of the data, but start summarizing the data for those areas. So essentially, you know, we're dealing with 8 counties, a very large area, so we're narrowing it down. And I just wanted to go over this today because, you know, just to make sure we're all on the same page, because this is going to be really important to get right for the data analysis that we're doing. So, okay. So now, yeah, we can just go forward. So I'm just going to go through county by county, and please do, if you have questions, or someone have a question there?
Oh, no, that was...
Please feel free to chime in.
Do you want to go to the maps now?
Yeah.
Sorry, y'all, I'm advancing these slides for
Sorry,
Caroline.
and I'm not communicating. So these aren't the prettiest, but I'm hoping, you know, it's kind of a working... Oh, and I did want to talk about, okay, so everybody, I know that the cities, we just, for time, you know, producing these maps, we use basically the census place description with the census tracts, but for all the future maps, we will identify incorporated cities and unincorporated cities. Does that sound good? Because I know some of the locations are off, like, they look pretty screwy, especially in some areas, but, I appreciate you letting us know that, and we will correct those when we develop kind of our final set of maps. So, I'll just start with Madera. That's the easiest one. Basically, Madera didn't have any changes to the map. So this is, and I'd also like all of you just to kind of see what other regions look like, because I only sent you, other counties look like your own map. That's the other reason why I'm kind of showing these to you. And
Now, why do you have Fireball in Madera, or am I misreading it?
Yeah, the
Fireball is
names are,
Fresno County.
yeah, the names are wrong in many cases.
Okay.
So don't get hung up on the names. So otherwise we'll be spending a lot of time talking. Basically, this was it was somehow identified in our data set, and the areas, the names are wrong. But the census tracts, we have the census tract numbers.
Caroline, when you say there was no changes, can you again repeat, as opposed to changes to what?
Okay, so basically I sent everybody these maps, which identified, the first map identified urban and rural areas. And that was based on the California Tax Credit Allocation Committee methodology for determining rural status of project sites. So basically, these are cities. So basically, these are cities with less than 40,000 people and census tracts within zip codes adjacent to rural areas. So basically, those were unincorporated with less than 40,000 people. So I generally, did my best to apply this methodology. It required, using Google Maps and different types of maps to identify these. And then for the California EnviroScreen, we could go back again to slide 7. So this is EnviroScreen 2.0. There is EnviroScreen 3.0, and I don't know. It seems like those are still under review. But basically, I sent another map which showed the census tracts that, according to California EnviroScreen 2.0, were greater than 75%. And my understanding is that has been the definition for eligibility for cap and trade funds. So this is just kind of the first cut I made. I used this data to identify urban and rural areas. The criteria to identify urban and rural areas and disadvantaged communities by census tract. So, because, it's a large area, I'm going to be summarizing a lot of data, and we need to kind of start narrowing it down. So this is, and I took these maps and I shared them with everybody to get their feedback on whether they kind of jived with their community's understanding of rural and urban places and disadvantaged communities. So what I'm going to be showing you now is basically in some cases I'm giving you the original maps that I sent out with notes made or new maps that were provided to me. So basically I'm doing my best here to represent the final set of rural and disadvantaged communities that we will be focusing in on now for the existing conditions report. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Any concerns about that or questions?
Caroline, this is Amelia with MCTC.
Yes.
Everything is still correct. We did want to note these census tracts, the big one that's between the Chowchilla and Firebaugh area. About maybe less than 10% of that is urban, and that's all on the far right side of the census tract, and the rest of it, about 90% is all rural.
Okay. So would you like to recategorize that as rural then? If you could give me the census tract.
I think we can leave it because the area that is categorized as urban is what puts it over the threshold. So I think it's okay to leave it, but we just wanted to note that.
Okay. So I'm going to make the note right now. Okay.
Carolyn, this is Elizabeth from TAC. Is it okay for me to make a kind of a general comment now?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, the comment made about that one tract to Madera, I haven't seen all of the maps, but I imagine that will be occurring in a lot of the counties. I know in 5 of our census tracts or so, what we see is a little corner of them in urban and huge swaths of the tracts being rural.
Okay.
Because we see that in a lot of tracts. I mean, that's why they're so big, right? Because one little corner is urban, but then they have to spread it out. So, I mean, that was a little bit of an issue for us too. I'm not sure, at the same time, I'm not sure we would categorize the whole tract as rural, so I'm not sure how we want to handle that, but we saw
Yeah, that's a good comment. So we should probably, for those areas,
it might be a case
kind
for
of identify.
Yeah.
If people could get back to me on which census tracts are like that, and I can kind of make a note of it and see, we may be able to, we can maybe do a subdivision or something with the map to identify that 10% that would be considered urban.
I know that we want to keep it, keeping it to census tracts is good, but I think that I would imagine that a lot of our areas have that. We have very rural areas right outside our city boundaries in large tracts, so that was
okay. Yeah, and we could even give that the tract a different kind of color or something, or a different, but okay, let's think about that one and see how we're going to handle that. So it's 10% right outside the urban area.
And then just one more comment, I'm not sure if it's necessarily the right place, but because we're trying to eventually at some point narrow this down to some areas, I think that the 75% was just it's a very low number. I mean, we have all over the valley areas at the 95% or higher, so I mean, I think that would really help to narrow it down, is to change that to 90% or greater or something like that, because there's a lot of those. 75 covers a lot more. So if you're wanting a criteria to narrow it down, that could be one.
Okay.
We have a lot even above 95% and all over the valley. So.
Yeah. I don't know how the rest of the because we did broaden the categories in some areas. So I mean that would be I guess kind of a decision that as a group we would need to make, get some consensus on that. But is it okay if I just I guess we can talk about it at the end, but for the first kind of cut of the data, if I use kind of what everyone feels could be broadly inclusive of disadvantaged communities at this point?
Yeah, if we're looking for broadly, I'm just suggesting it as a way to narrow it down more. But we can all talk about that, of course.
Yeah, and I do understand that isn't there a potential pot of money, and you have to be in the top above 95%, right? For cap and trade
probably
funds,
90.
no?
I don't know. I think Caroline's looking at me. I'm not sure, but that was a note that I made, is that that's something that we need to determine and be able to say, why are we choosing that 75%? And is there more advantage, especially if we're focused on the cap and trade funds, of going higher? Or at least being able to point out where the 95%, where are the 90% communities and where are the 75%? And so that when when you all have to make that hard decision of where we focus, you'll know, okay, well, this community is in the 90% or 95% CES designation, and this one's in 75%, because I think that's going to be one of the criteria. And one of the criteria is thinking about how do we make the pilot program as competitive as possible for the various funding sources we identified. And so I think that's a really good comment, and we should be able to.
Yeah, we can definitely do a map where we have color coded for the different.
Yeah, I think that's what we should do.
Okay.
Yeah.
But for the data analysis, the summary, I'll use the larger number of zones for now. Okay, so.
No, great comment.
Yes. Okay. So we've got the Madera. Okay. Amelia, if you could send me kind of a note that tells me kind of which census tract you're talking about, because it's a lot to keep track of, that would really help me.
Yeah, I'll send.
And then I can, and then the little corner you were talking about, sometimes on the PDF you can even kind of circle with a pen.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Do you want to keep moving?
Okay, so next I had Fresno, and I'm not sure I'm not sure I got this, whether you had no changes or the comment was to fix the cities, but somehow I recalled an email that I couldn't find saying you might have needed more time to look into this.
I think I had a discussion, and then I'd also sent the some other maps to you folks to do kind of an overlay.
Yeah, we're going to do that next.
And I had commented on specifically the urbanized and rural areas as well.
Okay. Do you mind just, if you could go over that again? I'm sorry if some of it, last week was pretty crazy, so I'm hoping to get another shot at this.
Yeah, I think down at the bottom you had put on there, based on the codes that you had, I think there were some areas that were identified as being urban, and they were really rural. And I don't know that bottom map what the yellow indicates or signifies.
Those are not, okay, but so the one on top, I think you might have been talking about the other RUC A code, I'm not sure, but this one, I'm talking about the top map is the reflection of the urban and rural areas.
Right.
So the top, urban is in red.
Right, and the only change there would be Clovis, because that's considered urban.
Right here, Moses?
Yeah. Yes, that's correct.
Steve, I have my little point.
Yeah, and I saw that, I kind of made a judgment call on that because based on because it was adjacent.
Right, but they're over 100,000 population, so it's pretty hard to classify.
So I can change Clovis, okay,
Yeah.
urban.
Plus, for purposes here politically, I don't think they want to be classified as rural, okay?
Okay. Okay. And then the other map, so no other comments on that then, on the Fresno?
No, except I don't know what the yellow
Okay, the
represents.
yellow means it's not, it's below 75%. So it's not considered, with that cutoff for disadvantaged communities, it's not considered disadvantaged. So only the green area.
Okay.
Green areas are considered disadvantaged. So if there was something that was missing, some census tracts that were missing.
So then I guess what I would recommend to you is you probably want to switch Sanger more appropriately further to the west, meaning to your left, because Sanger is too far to the right, and there's some other communities there's too many other communities out there like Parlier and Orange Cove that really fall into those zip codes and those disadvantaged communities. So I think a lot of those cities are missing.
Yeah, and again, I didn't, would it help then if I gave you a new map where I have the cities overlaid?
You can, or use the transit map I sent you and use that as an overlay, because it has all the incorporated cities there as well as the majority of the unincorporated communities.
Okay, but I need to go by census tract, because that's where I have CESs for. So
Yeah, I can't help you there. I can only help you with the cities.
So you could you tell me which cities then you think should be classified?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you tell me now, or?
Oh yeah. You probably want to add Parlier.
Okay.
Which is along. It would be just east of Reedley.
Okay.
I'm sorry, west of Reedley. And then you want to put Sanger east of Parlier, and
Okay.
slightly north. Those are the ones that I can see that are missing. I don't know about Fowler. That's an incorporated city along the 99 corridor, so it would just be north of Selma.
Okay. Would it be helpful, it might be helpful, just so that you're not missing any?
I have a feeling I have those included. I'll go back and check.
Because I'm also looking at our time, and I want to make sure we get to all the counties.
Yeah, I have a feeling, I'll go back, but, to confirm that, but I have a feeling, I think it's what's throwing you off is the map not being labeled properly.
Yeah,
I apologize for that.
What it probably is.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so Moses, we'll follow up and, with the maps with the cities and incorporated communities overlaid on top.
Okay, and then.
And then that way you'll know if they're in or out.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so the next one's Kern. So, and we did have a conversation about this. I spoke to Rob Ball, and I think so basically, he suggested that South Taft, this little area where I have circled, would be disadvantaged. So those two little census tracts right there. And then Delano should be characterized in the map below, the red area, thank you, Laura, as rural, because this is a similar issue. There's a prison there, and that's got about 10,000 people, which leaves kind of a remainder of, about 40,000. So we will be including that as a rural area for now. Okay. So we're on target there then?
We just had one question. When you add back the city names, are you also going to put in a layer with the major roadways? I know that some of the other counties made a note that their rural are strung along like highways or major roadways.
Yeah.
And are those going to show up on the maps?
I'm going to try to. It's a large area, so we'll do our best. But there are a lot of maps, so but probably we should put those in, I think, for these county level. So we can do that as well. So put in the major freeways.
Yeah, I would at least do that for north, south, and east, west.
99, I-5, and 58.
58, in our county, right. The 178, the 58, the 99, the
Okay.
5, the 46, do you think? Yeah.
Okay, and it might be less busy when we don't have to have when we're only highlighting the rural with the CES areas. Okay, so are we okay with Kern then?
Yeah, we defer to Rob Ball because he's the expert on the maps, and I think he gave you his changes, so we'll have him look at it one more time. I'm sorry, he's on another conference call right now.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, that would be great. Yes?
Looks fine. I got on the call, so it looks fine.
I got it. Okay, and then it's just those two little census tracts for the CES. The South Taft.
Did you change those based upon EnviroScreen?
This is input from Rob Ball.
Yeah, but Rob Ball is not EnviroScreen. Sorry, Rob. But
yeah.
I just want to make sure we're fair across all counties here on what we do with the maps.
Yeah, I'm allowing.
It's fine.
Okay, but people feel that have asked to add other communities that are not necessarily greater than 75. And I can take a note of, and I will take a note of that and describe that, because greater than 75 is kind of arbitrary. That was my feeling at this phase, that we would represent what was kind of interest to the county. Michael, I don't know.
As long as you afford that opportunity to other counties, I guess that's okay. I just want to make sure we're fair to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Same as the rural. If we exclude rural population number, people in prison from the population number, do we do that to other communities in the valley as well?
Yeah, we're leaving that open. So, for this, we're still kind of at the exploratory phase. So if people are interested in me gathering data for certain areas, I'm more than happy to do it. I just want to make sure, I'm gathering data. I can make a note of, this is according to, the urban-rural definition is a little squishy. So, but the over CES is over 75% CES is pretty straightforward. Does that make sense to you, Michael? I mean, I think when we start specifying our criteria for deciding where we want to locate the pilot, then we could keep to these hard and fast rules. But I feel like it's not that difficult for me to collect data in these areas that might be helpful. I'm assembling a number of data sets. Does that seem okay? So it's basically what people in those counties are interested in seeing. We can revisit, later what criteria, and we can, narrow down the data after that.
And we can, and I think this brings up a point. So if we're including, a county that's maybe not, or a census tract that's not in this SES 75%, I mean, we'll make a note of that.
Yeah.
Because if that happens to be one of the pilot communities, or if we're focusing in on that area based on all the other data that Caroline's gathering, based on what we heard at the focus groups, based on all of your feedback, I mean, we're going to have to do some side-by-side comparisons and talking about pros and cons of each. And one of the cons of this, unfortunately, of this particular census tract is that it's not included in the CES in the top 75 or the top 25%. So I think that's an important. So yes, we can change that based on county input, but we know going into it that it won't be very competitive for the cap and trade funding that's using I keep wanting to mess it up. CES. So we'll make a note of that, and so that you all have that information before you, and the directors, when talking about what the pilot community should be. Because I imagine everyone wants it to be the most competitive it can.
And all the emails everyone sent me, most people did send me a description, did describe to me why they thought it should be included. So as we go through, you'll see more. Rob, I don't have why we're considering, I'm sorry if I forgot this from our phone call, why we included South Taft as, and I mean, a number of people said we just missed it by 1 point. They felt like, some of the data might have been skewed. I mean, data is not perfect. I mean, if you could make an argument you know, and they are under.
We should start
yeah.
cruising along.
Okay, okay, so Merced, this is Merced, so you can see, they sent me back maps, so, that kind of redefined what they thought were rural, and they had some additional disadvantaged communities that they wanted between 71 and 75%. So, and then we, you know, I'll include that in my write-up. Okay, Kings, these are the, you know, there were some corrections, a mistake that I made, and, you know, basically, this is the case where there was one where they missed the cutoff by 1%, and they didn't have PM burden there, so they felt like the data was skewed, so we will be including Avenel as a disadvantaged community.
Good, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the little rectangular portion in Corcoran.
Yeah.
Where the asterisk is, should also be,
right here?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, that was an error, right, on my part?
Supposed to be actually yellow.
Yes, I got that.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you for correcting that. So, yeah, okay, and then here we've got Tulare. Okay, Tulare, sorry. And, you know, I need to correct the city names. So that's all the feedback I got. Is that correct?
Well, I also have that initial feedback of some of those tracks being majority rural.
Right.
Okay,
yeah.
so which?
And then they seem like these.
Yeah, those 3 around Tulare, the 2 kind of on the north side of Visalia. Like,
okay. And could you kind of mark those? Would you be willing to send me an email? Kind of just.
I think Kasha's working on sending you something, but we can.
I already did. I send you an email like maybe 2 hours before.
Oh, okay.
And I actually send you like a map. It doesn't really show the difference. I didn't really focus on rural and urban because I thought you can take the census tract numbers and apply them to your map. But I did send you a map which has the census tract numbers, and it lists also those unincorporated communities and some of the major cities which are not showing on any of those maps.
Okay, I must have just missed that because I didn't get it from this morning, but I'll get back to you.
No, it was like at 11 o'clock, and there is a PDF with like a map attached. And if you can.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Okay, if you can look at it, and like I said, it's
perfect.
I put the layers for rural and urban. I didn't really focus on that, but you asked me for the locations and the census tract numbers, so I tried.
Yeah.
But it shows a lot of you know, those little communities which I was mentioning to you in an email yesterday, especially on the southeast county, because we think here that there is a lot of potential over there for us. Okay, great. Okay, well, that's terrific. I appreciate that. I'm sorry I didn't pick that up this morning.
Oh, that's okay. So one of the comments just comparing the 2 maps is if you look at the CES map, at those large census tracts, like the one where the word Visalia is, I mean, that's disadvantaged. We also consider that's rural. And I know it's showing up as urban on the above map, so we might want to.
Okay.
So most of those are very rural, but our main issues in our county are on that south side where you see Pixley, Early Mart, Tipton, and all that. So that's pretty well covered for us. But
okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so Stanislaus. So I was given here's updated areas, tracks they would like to have considered rural. So it's a similar thing. So I've taken note of all that, and I'll include that in the write-up, and we'll be updating our data set to reflect these preferences. And then moving to San Joaquin. Oh, I'm sorry. Stanislaus, do you have any other comments? I'm sorry.
This is Elizabeth Esau, and I don't.
Okay, great. Thank you for, I'll be sure to, do this. And then this is next to San Joaquin, moving along. We're running out of time, huh? Okay, San Joaquin. So these are what's going to be, and again, it looks like this is the same situation where there are large census tracts and, there's some small part, maybe a city, but others are largely rural. Okay, so I don't think we have time to talk about this map, but I can.
Do you want to talk about the other data that will be going in?
Yeah, so I can just give you a heads up. I will be sending you a description of how I've kind of translated inner city transit service. I've got to update it now with these new locations. And, just to get your feedback, if I'm missing anything or if you have better data. And then just to give you, if we go on to the additional data by census tracts.
Here we go.
So this is just some of the data that we found. It looks like cell phone coverage could be a barrier, a significant barrier to some. It's not just not having a smartphone, it's also that there's very poor cell phone coverage in some of these rural areas. And then we've been able to find access to medical facilities, grocery stores, multi-purpose grocery stores, education, banks, jobs, share of income going to rent. I was also hoping, and I don't know if we have time to talk about it right now, if I could get some help understanding the best source for data on affordable housing units, subsidized affordable housing units. If any of you have any ideas on that, I found different maps, but I'm not sure what's what, and if you all could send me any feedback you have on where I might find that data, that would be very much appreciated. I've also found a data set that looks at preventable emergency care and associated costs by census tract, and then auto ownership, senior, disabled populations, those kind of typical things. So
is there anything else on this list, or is there any comments on this list from the TAC?
Yeah, this is Elizabeth. Were you saying that you do have data for access to medical facilities and grocery stores?
Yeah.
And where were you able to access that?
I can't remember all the specific data sets, but I can give that to you. I think later I can do that as a follow-up. I think it's policy. One of them is it's a paid. I think I got it.
Oh, okay.
It's a paid site, but it's subsidized. So there are a lot of different little data sets.
Great.
But I was really happy to find some of these. Some of them are public health data sets. So I thought it was pretty interesting that they had, preventable emergency care, like basically what the number of people treated for emergency care that didn't need to be treated for emergency care if they were able to get to see a doctor regularly, and associated costs. So, because I know that non-emergency medical trips we got a lot of feedback on that. I don't know if we have, so that's about it. And I wondered if you were going to talk about the survey, or we don't have time really quick.
So I know I'll just mention this really quickly. So when we came down to have our one-on-one meetings with you all, one of the things that we did was attend the San Joaquin Valley Affordable Housing Summit. And we have really made some great connections there, and we were able to present and talk about this project to a range of people, and a couple of affordable housing developers came up to us, so this really resonated with them, and they shared with us that providing transportation service to their members is something that they've been thinking a lot about. A lot of them have been applying to the Strategic Growth Council's, Affordable Housing Sustainable Communities program. So they've been thinking, and that's been helping, getting them to think more about transportation. And so we had one particularly really great connection that we made, and it's Betsy McGovern, Garcia McGovern with the Self-Help Enterprise. And they're one of the affordable housing developers in the Valley. And we're going to actually partner with her to administer a survey to her residents later in January. And she has over 1,300 units. And all of the units, all of the residents will be coming in to fill out mandatory paperwork, and she offered to include the survey in that paperwork. And the survey is going to help us, gather some additional information on, what are the travel patterns of her residents, where are they going, what mode are they taking, are there trips they are not taking that they would if they did have access to transportation, either a vehicle or transit, et cetera. And then we'll also ask some of these other questions that, in the context of a car sharing or ride sharing program, we have questions around, do they have a driver's license? Do they have a smartphone? Do they have access to a computer? And et cetera. I think, that's just a sampling of some of the questions we're going to ask. So this was a really exciting opportunity, and we were actually able to bring in additional funding to cover this work with her. So this is not coming from our grant. This is additional funding that we're able to find to cover working with Betsy and Self-Help Enterprises to do the survey. And we think it's going to be just absolutely fabulous as input for this work. And so that will be happening, the survey, we're developing it now, and then that will be administered in January, and then we'll have results early spring from that survey of the 1,300 units. So that's just a brief update we wanted to share on that, just so you all know that that's happening. And then we just have a what next slide. So here's maybe if we can have a couple minutes. So we have the focus groups coming up. The TAC, we hope we can reschedule that, and that's where we'd like to dig in with you all and have a conversation about the selection criteria for the communities for the Phase 2 work. So we've already developed a draft list of what we think could be different selection criteria. You saw the whole long list of data that Caroline is collecting. And so we're going to have data that we can look at in determining what communities might fit. We're going to have a lot of qualitative data from our focus groups meeting with you all. And so we just want to have that conversation with you all just to get feedback on what that criteria should be. And then in December, we will have a presentation to the Regional Policy Council on the 1st, and that's just to provide an update on where we're at, what we're doing. And then we have our December 13th meeting scheduled, and that's where we look forward to sharing what we heard from the focus groups, and then checking back in on the Phase 1 synthesis report. We believe we'll have something, I don't know if we'll have a complete draft at that point, but it's going to be very close, and we just look forward to bringing back the additional work that Caroline's doing with the maps and the rural transit and all the additional data that she's gathering, and to share that with you all. So I know we're at 2 p.m. So Michael, my question to you, do we want to try to find a date now for November really quickly, or does Jennifer want to do a doodle poll?
Well, yeah, I didn't realize we had that other conflict. So you're going from noon to 1:30 on that day.
We're going to 2 p.m. on that day.
Oh, on 2 p.m. Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay. And you wouldn't feel like doing it at 2 p.m. You're out that week then, basically.
That might be a little hard to wrap up a meeting. Yeah. People never leave the room right at 2.
Right.
And it would be nice to get everybody's, we have one scheduled for the next day. It would be nice to get everyone's feedback as we draft kind of a... Got it.
We'll shoot for the following week then, for the November meeting. So we'll doodle for that. And then two more things really quick. One is presentation to the Regional Policy Council is Friday, December 9th, not the 1st.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
And for these meetings moving forward, since I've had everybody on the phone, there was a request to move the meetings to the regular meetings to 1:30 instead of 1 p.m. And is everybody okay with that on the phone, moving forward?
Yes.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm good. We'll doodle for the November meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you, Michael. And then we'll follow up with you, Michael, too. I want to talk about the Regional Policy Council meeting for the 9th. So, but we'll follow up on an email after that. So with that, thank you everyone for hanging on here a couple more minutes after 2. And, again, if there's anything that comes up, please email Caroline and or myself and or Michael. We're all happy to answer any questions. And we'll be following up right after this meeting. I'll send out that invitation for the focus groups and information on those focus groups, as well as the updated list, invitation list. And I think we'll be also doing additional follow-up with the maps. So be on the lookout for those. So thank you so much, and I hope everyone else has a lovely rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.